So welcome to Rensburg Galleries. Thanks everybody for coming. We're COVID safe. Our only rule is stay away from any artists because they're our most protected species. We have COVID safe platters and I don't think any Melbourne, so I think we're going to be okay. Rensburg Galleries has a pretty ever-changing schedule. Last weekend, Sears and I went to LA virtually. We burnt our passports and we travelled there over time. And we had a really great exhibition. I think if everybody wants to check us out on Instagram and Facebook and, you know, in our virtual world, we're there. We're trying to stay alive and we'd like to thank everybody for coming and supporting us. And we're very honoured to have Gabrielle Jones here and her exhibition Ethereal Worlds. It's a beautiful exhibition of movement and stillness in this global environment, engulfed in a very personal way of this current environmental and medical situation we find ourselves in. It's abstract art, as you can see. I don't know a lot about abstract art, and we're very lucky to have Charlie Sheard here, who has been described as one of the most prominent abstract painters of our time in the last 40 years. Yeah. And so I'm very honoured to have him here to introduce Gabrielle's work. I first met Charlie when I very luckily became his assistant and I was introduced to abstract art and I had no idea about it. He made me fall in love with it. And everybody has their own personal experience to it, and as you can see around you, I think you will all fall in love with the work in your own personal way. For me, we're very honoured to have Gabrielle's work here. I first came in contact with her when we had our gallery in Hong Kong. We received a letter from her and we felt that her work was just too beautiful to show for us. When we came back to Australia, actually, then we reconnected and we just couldn't help but want to show it. So we hope that we've done it justice. We hope that we get a lot of people to see it, and we hope that you are happy with it. So I'm going to hand it over to Charlie, who will then hand it over to you. Remember, you can come and see Sears and I to purchase any of the work and to talk to us about any of the work. Over to you, Charlie. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Look, these are such great paintings. They're such good paintings. Gabrielle is an incredibly serious painter. Really, as serious as you could possibly be. And this work it's full of energy, it's full of painting, they're really, Bill was talking about, you know, what is abstract painting? Abstract paintings are paintings that generate themselves. They're paintings that the artist makes in response to what's happening in the painting itself. So the painting is speaking to the artist and the artist is interacting with the painting. And these really, they're beautiful interactions and it's a very physical way of painting. And you know, when you look at paintings like this, you really think of the artist moving her arm, moving her body, and putting her physical bodily energy into the painting. Look at that one up there. You can really see, you know, it's really energetic. It's not an idea of energy. It's not a painting about energy like an illustration of energy. The energy is really there. So it's transmitted straight from the artist's body into the painting. And of course, there's other things being generated as well. The palette is very, very particular. You know, the pinks, the oranges, the grey colours. That has a very particular sort of bodily meaning as well. The palette seems to relate to the colours of flesh and to the colours of being human, right? Combined with this really energetic, you can almost feel the painting breathing, you know. This is the way to interact with these paintings, to really just allow yourself to feel the movement of the body. It might be, what I said previously, it might be that you imagine the artist making it. But if you can really tune into the painting itself, you don't need to imagine the artist making the gesture. the painting itself is communicating that. And I think that's, this is a very high level of accomplishment. I don't know if it sounds like that's not very much, but that's a lot. That's really something, that's the essence of what drawing is. Transmitting the body energy or the physicality of being in a human body into a painting. It's actually quite a high accomplishment, and a lot of painting is much more still and a lot more frozen than this is. Look at that one there too. I mean, that's another amazing painting. Very bodily, very almost like you can feel the heartbeat, like it's pumping blood or it's pumping energy, and all of this incredibly confident brushwork. That's another thing, isn't it? That's another quality that these paintings have. They're incredibly confident. There's no sense of hesitation. There's no sense that, maybe. Do you know what I mean? But a lot of paintings like that, a lot of painting that we see, a lot of contemporary paintings very like that. It's like, maybe, I don't know. And a lot of contemporary painting is more sort of photographic and a bit sort of intellectual and a bit like standing back and not really having an experience, like making an illustration of a painting. That's right, but this is really painting. So yeah, I think these are paintings of very high quality with very fine artistic resolutions. I also think that Gabrielle, like all abstract painters, like all serious abstract painters, is only just getting into her stride now. To me, this is just the beginning of what a serious artist is going to do, and it's just sort of indicating that there's more to come. A painting like this one, I mean, this is just a sensational painting. That's an incredibly good painting. And again, it's not just you see a lot of these things in home decorating shops, these sort of things they throw together that they call paintings, which are sort of meaningless, just a whole lot of paint sitting there, doesn't have any meaning whatsoever. But this is really, like, you can feel this in the body. You can really experience the meaning of the painting physically, not intellectually, And there's too much of this crap about, thinking, what does a painting mean? But people are talking about some theory, like somewhere else, like a theory about a painting's meaning, which is over there, which is nowhere near the painting. But, here, the meaning's in the painting. And it's not a theory, it's not some explanation that's being applied from somewhere else. It's really here, and it's really experiential. So, look, very good paintings, an artist who's going to develop into a very serious painter indeed. And the practical matter of it is, for such a serious artist, buy these paintings now. No, but I mean, because the price is extremely reasonable. This is the time, I'm not kidding, I'm absolutely just sensible. This is the time to buy these paintings while you can still afford them, because, in another 10 or 20 years, none of us will be able to afford it.
I hope you're right.
He's always right.
I'm not always right. That's my feeling about this work. I think it's sensational, and I think it's rock solid. And look, if you possibly can, buy one, and you'll never get sick of it. This is not the type of painting that you get sick of. This is the type of painting that you might not fully grasp the first time that you see it. You might not understand all things about it the first time you see it. It might take you a few years, or 20 or 40 to start to get a feeling for it. Now that's the type of painting that I'm interested in. I'm not interested in the type of painting that you look at once and you automatically grasp the whole thing. What's that? What's the point of that? That's just really boring. This is the thing, the one that will grow on you and the one that will speak in different ways to you on different days. That's really what it's all about. There's just one more thing I want to talk about this. I've been watching via Instagram, I confess, but I've been watching Gabrielle making these constructed drawings. I think they're just sensational. It's a very, again, it's a very pure, very gutsy. I like these for the same reason I like this. There's no sort of extra fluff. It's really gutsy. It's really like a very pure drawing. It's a very, very pure thing. Of course, paintings like this are more elaborate. They have other elements. They speak to other sensibilities. You know, the palettes in these paintings are more interesting. These are more complex paintings. They're very beautiful. But I must say that the austere, sort of pared down, almost brutal brutality in the constructed drawings, I think they're very, very fine as well. So, congratulations.
I have to let you know that Charlie and I have met for the first time today. So to hear these words is pretty special. I have to say, I've been a long time admirer of Charlie. I was pretty impressed that he noticed me on Instagram. Same with Beulah, I was impressed she noticed me on Instagram. And I have to say that this is why you should always get one artist to talk about another artist's work, because we had 5 minutes of discussion. It was not really about, it was about COVID or something. But he really, really has got this, and I don't just mean because it's obviously very complimentary to me, but I had my kind of rough idea what I'd talk about. And this work has been made before and during the COVID, but before that we had bushfires. I'm from the Blue Mountains, so we had, disruption. So why is it called Ethereal World? Because I kind of disappeared into my studio like many people, many artists during times of disruption, and I couldn't control the world, but all I could do was do my thing. So some of this work, go back a little bit. So I travelled heavily. I had my second show in Italy 2 years ago, and I spent 3 months in Italy. I came home. Basically, I don't try to make a painting. I start with painting. I start a painting. And so a number of the works are misremembered Dutch still lives, like all the art I was seeing. But travel is also an ethereal world. Travel is not the real world. Travel is somewhere in between, where I was really trying to soak up as much as I possibly could and think about what it meant to be an artist. I was there for art reasons, but I was there to take in the rest of the world as well. And then we came back and, life settles down, and then we had bushfire threats and drought. I actually had an exhibition at Muswellbrook Regional Gallery in the worst drought that we've ever had, with people devastated all around, so much so that I was giving workshops for basically nothing, and trying to, and I had some wonderful people come along, real artists who trying to cope with it all. We go through bushfire, we go through COVID. The beautiful thing about art is it can transport you, really. And many of these things, as I said, I just started painting, but my conversation does happen with the canvas and the marks that are made, but that makes me go into such a deep place, or a deeper place. So it brings forward memories that are wonderful. The music that I put on, classical or something, may bring forward experiences with beautiful art. So this one that Charlie pointed out was, in a way, it's called Angels and Demons. So it's very much about flesh and blood, but also, the ethereal, the wondering about the spiritual, wondering about, the art that came before me, who was the patrons, how they portrayed things. I sat in churches copying very ordinary art, but the art that was literally on all the church walls. And I have so many, drawings of that. But when I come back, I don't really look at those drawings. That's all internalised now. And whatever comes out, comes out. So this one is based on a misremembered Dutch. This is actually about sex. Or seduction. It's called seduction. It's meant, and it's also about the seduction that paint is to me. Its slippery slidiness, its ability to be layered and complex and simple and, recall the mark of the person making it, and the importance of that. But to evoke something that is real but not real, therefore ethereal world. The liminal space between what am I doing? What is my memory? What is happening here? It's a physical act, a very physical act. And every single one painted on this wall, every single one of them was probably done after doing a lot of old paint, a lot of other paint, but they are done in pretty well one city. And that's the commitment. That's why I filled that word in, because you have to risk all. You have to be involved in it. You're almost in the paint. So I love being in amongst it, and it is a full commitment for me. And I'm a very serious artist. And it took me a long time to take myself seriously because no one else seemed to. But now that Charlie said that, I'm even more committed. 20 years on, you watch me. But I'm committed enough to be looking at moving somewhere so I can have my very own gorgeous studio. That I don't have to worry about somebody else, suddenly telling me to decant, etc. And this painting over here is called Grace. And I decided it's one of 5 or 6 that were at Musselburgh Regional Gallery. And I decided what were the characteristics or what was required of an artist. And that is grace. And that is as much about the grace which is a higher spiritual thing as it is the grace to take the rejections that we get all the time and to still be nice and supportive of every other artist out there who's going for the job, because it's not an easy job. Along with that, I painted Passion, which is actually sold to a big Chinese collector. Courage, Inspiration, and I'll remember the other one at some other time. So you can get the idea. It's the characteristics of paint. This is called Valley Floor, I think. And it just came out after a particularly lovely walk in the Blue Mountains which I don't do that often, but we went down to, rock faces to a trickling stream. The sun was up, a day like today, beautiful sun, absolutely freezing cold down the bottom. It kind of talks about the music of that and the discovery of this little, it was a stream, and jumping over the rocks and everything that involves. Looking up and it's, you feel like you're down in the bottom of the earth sometimes. So these other 2 were made during COVID, and I basically needed to not make paintings. I felt like I was starting to go, I needed to get with something real. That's also the opposite. So these are actually just marks pared down on paper, and I manipulate paper like a sculptor. So it kind of felt like I could get real, whereas this world I was in was not really real. It was somewhere in between. I was doing the same for me. I'm an artist, I have to go into the studio, but outside it wasn't real. So there was this place in between where, the liminal space, I guess, and in general, that word experience. That's actually what I aim for, the bodily experience. I love it, and if you're going to say, some Buddhist learnings, whatever, you do experience things with your body first, then your brain kind of tries to make sense of it. So I am always aiming for that feeling. My favourite paintings, were the first time I had that experience, I went to MoMA, and for my first time, I was looking forward to seeing the de Kooning. I thought, beautiful, de Kooning's over there, I can't wait. I'll savour that for later. Turned around and saw a figurative, giant wall-sized David Park painting, and was so shocked, and I stood back and just watched, and my eyes were getting caressed by this painting. And the next thing I was crying because I couldn't believe the physical reaction of this painting to me, and I wasn't expecting it. I was looking at this one over here, and then it was the other one, you know. So it is a wonderful thing if you can actually experience the painting and just be with them. And so much of it is about, you know, taking that all in quickly in this day and age. And I've done a couple of exhibitions called Glimpse, which are all about that. But we do need to take the time and spend the time and take it in. And what I want to mostly do is say thank you very much, Willa, for having me in this space, beautiful space and beautiful gallery, and to Sarah. They are an absolute delight to deal with. I kind of discovered them again on Instagram because during COVID they were the funniest two people and entertaining us and just had such a sense of life. And can I say that with all of this musing, you know, in the end I come out on the side of life, of beauty, of energy, of going for it, you know? And I just went, these two people, they're amazing. Next thing, they contacted me. I went, meant to be. So thank you very much. And thank you for asking Charlie, and thank you for everything you said. I'm absolutely humbled. I really am. And I have, as I said, I've admired Charlie for ages, and for him to see these things and say these things is probably one of the highlights of my life. Her husband was from Shell Harbour today, so yeah, so we can eat, drink and be merry.
Yes, thanks everyone. Thanks for coming. I do think what you said is a really good point. To sit with the paintings and to be with them is really special. So do take the time to really sit with them and look. And thanks everyone. There's more drinks, there's more of that. I don't know how much more funny we can do on Instagram, but we'll try our best.